So Cissy Strut is a song by the Meters, because you already knew that. And it's got two parts. So if you take a look at the PDF, this will be part one. All right, and so that actually winds up being an 8-bar pattern. And if we take a look at it, if we just take a look at the first section, the first little bit is 1 and. It'll be the first 4 notes of part 1. And it'll start with a bass drum, play 2 hi-hats and the bass drum. So counting with it, you'll get 1 E and 1 E and, right? And then 2 E and is snare on 2, bass drum on E, hi-hat and ah. So the count of E and get counted on the bass drum, and the last hi-hat hit will be on the ah. So it'll be 2 E and ah, 2 E and ah. So what and then 3 E and will be bass drum on 3, bass drum hi-hat on the E of 3, 3 E and and then the hi-hat will be on the and of 3, and the bass drum will be on the ah of 3. So you get 3 E and and 4 E and will be snare drum and hi-hat on 4, 4, bass drum on E, E. So you got 4 E and then and ah. The hi-hat and the snare drum will play on and count the ah. And it's actually a pretty crazy beat for like a 1-bar pattern. He only does 2 bars for the whole song pretty much. Slight variations here and there, but it's pretty cool how it goes by so fast, and it's very, coordination-wise kind of wild. It's sort of linear-like in the sense that 2 limbs don't play at the same time, except they do in a couple spots, but for the half of it is linear and half of it is like both together. So I would suggest trying part 1 just by itself. 1 E and I'll go through each one. Here, I'll turn this mic down. I don't know. Hang on. All right, and then you want to do 2 E and 2 E and ah. Right? Then you want to put 1 E and 2 E and together. So you got 1 E and 2 E and 1 E and 2 E and And you want to make sure that you do 1 E and clean by itself, 2 E and clean by itself, then 1 E and 2 E and together. Then we'll do 3 E and by itself. 3 E and 3 E and 3 E and I'll go a little bit slower. 3 E and This one's kind of tricky because it's in a weird spot. You normally don't do this with a hi-hat and the bass drum. 3 E and and then 4 and then we'll do 2 E and 3 E and together. 2 E and 3 E and 2 E and 3 E and then 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and together. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and right. Then 4 E and by itself, and then so. Yeah, you get the idea, though. We're going to go 1 E and by itself, 2 E and by itself, 1 E and 2 E and together, 3 E and by itself, 2 E and 3 E and by itself, 4 E and by itself, 3 E and 4 E and by itself. And then you get that whole first part done. The second part goes, oh, sorry, I have to mute the hi-hat. which is another very cool, simple part. It goes by really fast, and like when you listen to it with the music, it's kind of weird because it fits and it doesn't fit. It's kind of neat. It's not typical to what's going on with the rest of it. So this one, if you look at part 2, you get 1 E and bass drum on 1, snare drum on and. Then the snare drum is on the E of 1, or sorry, the E of 2. There's a rest on beat 1. E of 2, and of 2, bass drum's the ah of 2. 2 E and then you got 3 E and 4 E and. So 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. And so I would go through each parts individually. Here's 1 E and 1 E and 2 E and goes 2 E and 3 E and 3 E and then 4 E and goes 4 E and it's got 2 open hi-hats. And then work through 1 E and 2 E and then 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Okay, so hopefully that makes some sense to you. But you're going through each quarter note worth of 16th notes to make sure you have them. Then you add on the next set of 16th notes. And then you make sure you play them both together. So I'll go through these, just one last little thing, and you'll see. Here's 1 E and 1 E and so I got that. Here's 2 E and 2 E and I got that. Here's 1 E and 2 E and together. 1 E and 2 E and right? So I've got those 2 down. Now I'm going to do 3 E and by itself. 3 E and now I'm going to go back to 2 E and 3 E and 2 E and 3 E and I'll do that again. 2 E and 3 E and then I'm going to play 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and in a row to go back to the beginning. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and right? And then on 4 E and you'll have 2 8th notes, hi-hat and bass drum together with the open hi-hat. 4 E and 4 E and. So then you want to practice 3 E and 4 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Oh, sorry, I forgot to play the bass drum with it. 3 E and 4 E and 3 E and 4 E and then you go through the whole thing. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E. So here's part 2. Yeah.